Hi friends, strangers, internet. My name is EmilyHanhan. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. And today I'm here to talk about all of my cream and liquid blushes. We are ranking all of these blushes in some kind of order, and I'm going to give you thoughts and feelings and emotions about all of them. Now, if you're new here and you love colorful makeup, lots of opinions about makeup and other things, and cute fat babes in general, you should go and subscribe. Now, I even though my collection might seem otherwise, I actually hadn't been that much into cream products until the last 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. And then I fell hard and fast, and my nosiness got the best of me. I have strong opinions about cream products. I don't know if this video is going up first or if my ranking all my cream highlighters is going up first, but in the highlighter video I was like, oh, I like all of these, so like, I'm a mess. Hold on. I was like, that is not all my products. And no, it's not. Now that cramped visual is more like it. And as I was saying, unlike the cream highlighter video, I have strong opinions about cream blushes, and a lot of them are not great. Not a lot of them, but there's definitely some hated formulas in here, some beloved formulas, and then some that are just kind of in the they're fine space. So let's get going, and we're gonna rank all of these motherfucking cream and liquid blushes. To possibly no one's shock or surprise, the Cosmetics Serum blushes are my most hated liquid or cream blush. I ranted about these in a video, and I will link that in the cards. But basically, I find that these are incredibly oily, incredibly hard to apply because a little bit goes a very long way. And I just hate the oily finish they leave on my skin. And I don't even want to, swatch this for you because it, in my opinion, gets to be a mess quickly. So I will direct you to the other video to give you the full scope of my hatred. But these are absolutely at the bottom. Another very hyped and I guess beloved formula that I fucking hate is the Tower 28 Beach Please blush. I have this in Happy Hour, and almost in the opposite way of how the M is not saturated enough for me, this feels like lipstick in a compact. Yet it doesn't even look good on the lips when I've tried that. It's very emollient, and I just find it incredibly hard to blend out without it looking patchy when it's very thick in texture. And I really thought when I saw how saturated it was that I was gonna be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna love this. But it's incredibly difficult to work with, in my opinion, and I just don't get the hype. Now, I got these two blushes through Yes Styles, and I think they would be considered PR or a gift or whatever. These are the Apu Juicy Pang blushers, and they are a liquid blusher, and they are in this kind of like nail polish style bottle. I only played with these a tiny bit, but I kind of knew from the beginning that they were not going to be quite for me. So I like the texture of these more than the M Cosmetics, but they are very sheer and they're pretty like watery. And I think, again, for me as a self-proclaimed blush slut, the way they sheer out is not my favorite, and they're not buildable in my experience. So especially if you have a base product on underneath, I found that if I tried to add more on, it didn't want to build. And that's okay. Like if you're super into subtle blushes and you like the liquid format, these are pretty nice. They're just not for me. And yeah, they're gonna go. They're not completely despised, but they're also not liked. Now this one was a bit of a shocker. The Fenty Cream Blush in Fuego Flush. I think I made a mistake by picking up Fuego Flush as my only Fenty blush, cream blush. I just don't really dig like the metallic orange. I think if this was the cream formula without the shimmer, that I could maybe get along with this, but I don't love it. This might be a beautiful highlight on somebody with richer or deeper skin, or maybe even a beautiful blush, but there's something about shimmer when it comes to orange or yellow blushes that I just don't tend to get along with. I was excited to have like a really carroty orange blush, but nah. Now where we're arriving right now is kind of that middle of the road. I have feelings and they're generally not the most positive, but either I haven't used them enough or I just still feel meh, where I'm not like strongly pro or against. I did talk about this in a video, the same video that I linked earlier. The Patrick Ta blush duo, the cream and powder blush duo in Do We Know Her. I think that this is theoretically a really pretty formula, but it stays too dewy on me. And that was a lot of product, but it stays too dewy on me and like too balmy, you might say. I feel like it's a more approachable take on the Tower 28 color, but for me and my skin, I'm just not loving the formula, and I don't love the way it pairs with the powder. I don't feel like they're really compatible. So again, I will direct you to the other video where I ranted a little bit more thoroughly. It's enough free. Let's talk about the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wands. So, excuse me. So these were passed along to me from a friend, and I have Pinkgasm and Peachgasm. And if I'm being completely honest, I haven't given these enough of a try to really know, but holy moly, this one it came to me a bit of a mess, which it's the fault of the packaging, not of the person, because this packaging is not ideal. And I think the thing that I found with these is, so I had picked up the Spotlight wand, and that one has grown on me. And I think I was expecting, I don't know exactly what I was expecting with these, but I found that they feel a little bit different than the Spotlight wand. And I think it's that, like, by the time I kind of blend them out, a lot of the color goes away. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. These are right in the middle of the road for me because I just haven't, if I'm being honest, I haven't used them enough to get a full grasp of what I feel about them. I think in general, I'm more partial to cream and liquid blushes that are cream and not shimmer. So that kind of goes in with my like trepidation about these. But let me know, do you have these? Do you really like them? How do you apply them? Give me tips. The e.l.f. Putty Blush. Now, I picked up one of the colors, and this was maybe Bora Bora. I'm not sure. I'm kind of not super in love with this color, at least. I find that the putty formula feels very silicone-y to me, and the way even it's swatching out, to me it's swatching out kind of patchy. I felt like that happened a little bit when I applied it. It's like the brush, so if the brush is this like base of this blush stick, pushing it down on my skin and blending, it was like the blush would like move to the skirts of the brush. So I almost ended up having more blush around the edges of the brush. It was slightly weird. It's a weird, I don't know if I made the wrong choice with the color or if me and the formula just don't get along, but I'm not super sold on this. Another kind of middle of the road one for me is the Milk Makeup blush stick, and I think this is Work. I feel like this was a birthday gift, or maybe I bought the mini. I don't love the stick format. I do think it's a pretty color. It feels a little stickier than I remembered, but I haven't picked this up in a little while. I think I'm just not sold by the stick format, and I do think if it was in a compact, I would probably reach for it more often. This one does pick up on a brush, so I could put a brush on it and then apply it that way. I need to do that more often. It's fine. It's just like, I wouldn't spend milk money makeup on this, simply said. Now this is another Yes Style purchase, or gift, not purchase. My apologies. This is the Can Make Cream Cheek, and this is in CL01, which I believe is strawberry. This is like another kind of middle of the road formula to me. It feels kind of balmy on the finger, and it shears out pretty nicely. It's a very red color. I think if I had a different shade besides red, I would probably use this formula a bit more. I do like how it shears out but still stays pigmented. And I feel like when it shears out, it doesn't go too pink, which sometimes happens with reds. So yeah, I mean, it's like packaging is kind of dinky. It's not like the most spectacular formula, but it's also not bad, especially when you consider the price you're paying. I feel like a lot of Korean beauty and like Yes Style makeup brands, they're not all like affordable or budget, but a lot of them are. And I felt like this is a nice one to play around with. The price point makes it where I could be more adventurous with the color choice and not feel like, oh no, I've wasted Milk makeup money or Charlotte Tilbury or Patrick Ta money on playing with some kind of fun color. Now we're kind of venturing out from like middle of the road stuff that I'm liking more. The Daria blush or Diamond and Blush palette from Natasha Denona. I realize now that there's only one cream blush in here. Even though the glow one is underneath the cover, it's really a powder. But the blush that's in here that's cream, it's right in the middle. It applies pretty sheerly. It kind of reminds me, is it similar? It reminded me of the Milk Makeup one, but I think that's because I got them around the same time. But it's like I would say like a hot pink coral. Now, I like cream products that can kind of dry down in some capacity, and I feel like this is a really nice, actually I feel like this is a nice starter palette if you want to play with different textures and formulas, especially if you get it on sale, because I got it like, it's like $45, I think. It's not cheap, but it's been fun to play with. So anyway, I find that this kind of cream blush, it has that almost similar silicone-y feel as the e.l.f. one, but not quite as silicone-y. It's still a little creamy. It picks up on a brush, it picks up on fingers, it's buildable. You can also like throw, of course, other blushes on top of it. You can do that with any of these though, so you know, but I like it. I think it's not like, I think some of the other newer blush palettes from Natasha Denona have like a slightly more emollient cream formula. But I think this is why it's middle of the road, because I find it pretty easy to work with. And I just find that it's a nice like middle ground cream blush. Not too emollient, not too like ooey gooey, but not too dry. And it's held up pretty well for me. I mean, I've only had it for about a year. But in terms of a cream product in a big palette, it's been a pretty good one. Salt New York is a pretty new addition to my collection, and I have 3 of their blushes. I don't find that all 3 are built the same. Rose has felt like it's a little bit oilier, and I have to kind of really dig in to like get that color, whereas I believe this is Coral. They all need a little like working into to warm up, that I will say. And then this is Raspberry. But overall, I really enjoy all 3 colors and generally the formulas. As I said, the Rose I feel like is a little bit oilier, and so it stays more dewy on the skin, whereas like the Coral and the Raspberry I feel like work a little bit more like a stain. So the first time I wore Raspberry, it was pretty potent, but then you can also like sheer it down or layer it up, and I feel like Coral is also workable in that way. But yeah, you can kind of see like the Rose one I can keep like moving around on my hand, which is not the best, because I feel like then I start picking up on it, and like for me the coverage doesn't look even, whereas I just feel like the Coral and the Raspberry do act more like stains, and I find them just a little easier to control. Yeah, like I said, I'm still learning and playing with these, but I do generally like some of the formulas that I have in here. The Rituel de Fille Color Nectar Balms have grown on me. Now, when I saw the yellow color Wasp, I was smitten. And then Bee Sting was just super, super pretty. I bought these 2 separate times. I paid for shipping twice, blah, blah, blah. You know, all the marketing things that happened to us. And I kind of felt like I fell into the hype and I wasn't super into them. They've grown on me. Now, the same issue that I talked about with the highlighters from Rituel de Fille, I can't really use a brush with these. I don't find it that successful. And for a long time, I wasn't super into the finish that they left on my cheeks. I felt like they were just a little bit too, like, emollient. But as I've used more cream products and kind of gotten used to them, they have grown on me. I think that Bee Sting is one of my favorite, like, pink cream blushes. That's grown on me. Wasp is really fun. It's kind of tricky to work with. A cream yellow blush I found was more difficult to work with than a powder yellow blush. And I think it might be the translucency. I'm not quite sure what it is, or if it's the tone of yellow. I think this tone of yellow is like beautiful on richer skin tones, but I think for me it might lean just a little bit orange. But these are also fun to play with and like do like an ombre cheek. So you can go from like yellow mixed together to make an orange to pink. So as I've said, they have grown on me. I think that they are pretty, but do I think that they're like worth the hype or worth the money? That I'm not totally convinced of. But I can't say I hate them the way I kind of felt when I first got them. Now the last ones I'm going to talk about are all pretty budget friendly, and they're all kind of in the same playing field for me, so I'm just gonna pick kind of at random. The Milani Cheek Kiss Liquid Blushes. If I'm being completely honest, I never expected to like these. So a friend of mine sent these blushes my way, and I really like them. So Nude Flush, I find, is actually could work as what you might consider a bronzer. It is pretty brown. It's a pretty brown blush. Here's what I wanted to say. Cheeky Coral. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted Fuego Flush to be. It is an actual orange, even though it says coral. It is like an actual orange blush. Now, exactly what you think would happen with these does happen. Almost always, I squeeze out too much product. The nice thing about these is that while they are sheer, so like, you know, you can sheer them out quite a bit, but if you put on a light layer and like let it dry for just a bit, you can go in with another layer and make it more intense. I would say if the first layer is still pretty like damp, it may not build super well, but if you let it just sit for a moment, it will not totally dry down. It's not like a powder finish, but it does get more dried down than like my complaint with the M Cosmetics one. And then you can build the color, but you can also keep it really sheer and nice. So I've just been really happy with these. I was surprised. I like these more than the Flower Serum blushes. Yeah, I had one of those. I decluttered it. To me, the Flower Serum blush would have landed somewhere in the bottom for me because it's the same issue that I kind of had with the Juicy Pang and the M Cosmetics. Like slightly oily, fairly sheer, doesn't really build. But anyway, the Milani ones, I really, really dig. I really do. The Holika Jelly Dough Blusher. Besides the incredibly ugly Yes Style sticker on top, this, I keep forgetting about this blush, and this blush is such a favorite. So it really has like a dough, a jelly texture, and it's creamy, but it's not so creamy. From only having used one color of this formula and only having used one color of the e.l.f. Putty blush, I think that the Holika Jelly Dough Blusher is a better version of this. And this has been around longer. I really like this texture. I can apply it with my fingers. I can apply it with a brush. It builds up so I can get a more intense, like hot cheek, or I can sheer it out. And I find that it will layer over base products or on bare skin really nicely. And honestly, the texture is just so satisfying. Now, the number one choice was I'm kind of surprised by it, actually. I'm picking the e.l.f. Active Workout Ready Lip and Cheek Palette. Here's the thing. If you're seeing this texture, like, it is as gooey as it looks. And I feel like Hannah Louise Poston is the one that uses the word gooey to describe it, because Hannah is why I picked it up. But it's also some of the most elegant colors in a blush, in a cream blush, but in a blush period. And it's from e.l.f. and it's like, I think $8 for the palette. You get this like warm, like terracotta coral. You get this brownie brown that it is very brown, yet it still looks like a blush on me. It doesn't give me like a bronzer effect. And then you get this like rosy mauvey color. And these are really like heavy swatches. So you're seeing the color very intensely, but they can sheer out. So, I mean, that's still pretty intense. They can sheer out, they can build up. One of the main reasons why I'm surprised that this ranks so like at the top for me, because it's such a emollient texture, I thought I wouldn't like it as much, but I find it to just be such an easy formula to apply. Like, it goes on so quickly. Realistically, if I'm looking for like long longevity, this wouldn't be my choice. I would probably go for something like the Holika Holika, or I would put down a liquid blush and put a powder blush on top. But when I'm just like wanting to slap my makeup on my face, put some highlighter, like just do something, I always feel comfortable grabbing for this. And, you know, you can see I've been using it, abusing it. I think it had to go in number one because of the pure shock of just like how much I've reached for this. Because it got the rave reviews, but like when I got it with the packaging and everything, I was like, I don't know about this. And yet I keep reaching for it. So yeah, that's my number one. The e.l.f. Workout Ready Lip and Cheek Palette. Let me know what you think about this roundup of and ranking of all of my liquid and cream cheek products. If you have any tips or tricks for any of the products shown for how you apply and make them work for you, definitely leave them in the comments. And I definitely forgot to record an outro on this ranking video as well. So here is my reminder to you to take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you are worth it. Bye, friends.